Morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class at Sri Radha Gopinath Temple, Sydney, Australia. And this morning we will be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, Text 19. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nasta Prayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Okay. Shaesha Atmavatam Adhishvaras Traimayo Dharmayas Tapomaya Gata Vyalikairaja Sankaradhibhir Vitarkya lingo Bhagavan prasiddhatam Sa esha atmavatam adhishvaras Traimayo dharmamayas tapomaya Gata vyalikeir aja shankaradhibhir Vitarkya lingo Bhagavan prasiddhatam Sa esha atmatmavatam adhishvaras Traimayo dharmamayas tapomaya Gata vyalikeiraja sankaradhibhir Vitarkya lingo Bhagavan prasiddhatam Saesha atmavatam adhishvaras Traimayo dharmamayas tapomayaha Gata vyalikeiraja shankaradhibhir Vitarkya lingo Bhagavan prasiddhatam Sa esha atmavatam adhishvaras Traimayo dharmamayas tapomayaha Gato vyalikeiraja shankaradhibhir Vitarkya lingo Bhagavan prasiddhatam. Okay, so the words Sa, he, Esha, it is, Atma, the super soul, Atmavatam, of the self-realized souls, Adhishvara, the Supreme Lord, Traimayaha, personified Vedas, Dharmamaya, personified religious scripture, Tapamaya, personified austerity, Gata Vyalike, by those who are above all pretensions. Aja, Brahmaji, Shankara Adibi, by Lord Shiva and others. Vitarkya Linga, one who is observed with awe and veneration. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Prasiddhatam, be kind towards me. Okay, so we've got the translation and the purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, the translation. He is the Supersoul and the Supreme Lord of all self-realized souls. He is the personification of the Vedas, religious scriptures, and austerities. He is worshipped by Lord Brahma and Shiva and all those who are transcendental to all pretensions, being so revered with awe and veneration. May that Supreme Absolute be pleased with me. Okay, so the purport. The Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, although the Lord of all the followers of different paths of self-realization, is knowable only by those who are above all pretensions. So, everyone is searching for eternal peace or eternal life. And with an aim to this destination, everyone is either studying the Vedic scriptures, as we are all doing today, or other religious scriptures, or undergoing severe austerity as empiric philosophers, as mystic yogis, or as unalloyed devotees, etc. But the Supreme Lord is perfectly realized only by the devotees because they are above all pretensions. Pretensions means above all desires. Basically, they are interested only in satisfying the Lord, but not themselves. And they're not pretending in one way. So, in devotees, of unalloyed devotees of Lord Krishna, they are basically only interested in one thing, is this, their desire is to serve Lord Krishna. So they don't have any other desires. As opposed to the others who do have these pretensions, they are after something or other. So continuing from there, those who are on the path of self-realization are generally classified as karmis. Let me read that again. Those who are on the path of self-realization are generally classified as karmis, jnanis, yogis, or devotees of the Lord. So you have some classifications there. The karmis who are much attracted by the fruitive activities of the Vedic rituals are called bhukti kami, or those who have or those who desire material enjoyment. The jnanis who try to become one with the Supreme by mental speculation are called mukti kami, or those who desire liberation from material existence. The mystic yogis who practice different types of austerities for attainment of 8 kinds of material perfection and who ultimately meet the super soul, Paramatma, in trance are called Siddhi Kami, or those who desire the perfection of becoming finer than the finest, becoming heavier than the heaviest, getting everything desired, having control over everyone. That's a nice one. Creating everything liked, etc. Not that we want to desire to have control over everyone, but it's almost like God having control over everyone. And so these yogis are doing some siddhi yogas in order to achieve certain siddhis. And then eventually they want to become one with the super soul and meet the Paramatma. I've known one such organization years ago when I had just read the Srimad Bhagavatam collection by a very nice book distributor who came to my house, and it was holidays and I was bored, so I read the entire Srimad Bhagavatam collection, and because our school holidays was like 3 months, and my father was very strict, and we didn't really go out much. Well, I wasn't allowed to go out much. So I just grabbed one of the Srimad Bhagavatam and ended up reading a lot. So anyway, that was the stage where I was at, and I came to Australia and I met somebody who claimed to be my uncle from a far distant relation. And he called me to his house, and me and someone else, so there are 2 of us. And we went to his house, and he started preaching us the Bhagavad Gita. Guess what he made for dinner? You would never believe. He was preaching about the Bhagavad Gita. He claimed to be from dare I name this religious, what are they called? Anyway, the name escapes me right now. It was there a second ago. I just lost it. Something about satsang. I think it is something satsang. Anyway, he had cooked goat meat for dinner to preach the Bhagavad Gita to me. And I'd already read the Srimad Bhagavatam. I wasn't pretending to be a devotee. I wasn't a devotee at that time. So I didn't claim to be a jnani or a preacher, but I did have Srila Prabhupada's dynamite words within me. You know how they are residing within you and one day they explode like a dynamite. So that one was lying dormant inside me, and this person was preaching to me the Bhagavad Gita. And his idea was to get these siddhis, like we're discussing now, and picture the Paramatma inside you, which is Lord Shri Krishna, of course, and come to become one. It was really weird. I mean, it was really wrong. I mean, we know that you don't preach Bhagavad Gita by cooking goat meat, and you don't. You can't do those things. He was just recruiting. He was trying to tell me that he was my uncle so that I would trust him enough to join his satsang. Anyway, I ended up being very rude at his own dinner table, at his own house, because I preached to him and I said, this is not the way. Even though I wasn't a devotee, I must admit I was just in high school, straight out of uni. No, not uni, it was high school. And I wasn't a devotee, and my family were meat eaters. So I never claimed, but at that time the Hare Krishna devotees were preaching in my house, so from Krishna Kalya temple in Lotoka, Fiji. So they are very strong Tamal Krishna Maharaj disciples and devotees, so their preaching is quite heavy and quite good and effective. So the message did come across, and I ended up telling him that the ultimate, he was preaching to me and I ended up preaching to him, told him that our ultimate goal is actually to be liberated and to seek the blessings, to seek the personality of Godhead. We have to realize our relationship, whatever we discuss in class. And he ended up banging the dinner table, and I told him, you're not supposed to cook goat meat while you're preaching the Bhagavad Gita. And he ended up banging the table with his fist. Who is your guru? Tell me, who is your guru? I want to know, who is your guru? Anyway, I didn't have a guru at that time. I told my Gurudev this story. He said, if only I knew you were my guru, I would have told him who's my guru. At that time, Srila Prabhupada's books, they were my guru. But coming back to the siddhis, so I met some ladies in that satsang, and they told me they have met the Paramatma within. They've gone through and they did all this, and that was the attraction point. So sometimes they get you hooked. It was really weird, and they are in Australia, by the way. So you'll meet them in Fairfield somewhere, and that's where I met them. It was very funny. Anyway, I was not a very good dinner guest, which was very bad of me. My companion person who I went with was very, very disappointed in me. What to do? Srila Prabhupada's books are fantastic and they teach you the right things. So it's very important to get it from, a bona fide person rather than go through all these yogis, so-called yogis anyway. There's a difference between that yogi and these yogis. These yogis are actually, they have a goal. They have a goal to reach the Paramatma, the super soul. So they are practicing austerities, and they're probably vegetarian, and they're going about it genuinely they're seeking certain siddhis, of course, but ultimately they want to meet the Paramatma. So they are not like bogis that I met the other day in that satsang. Anyway, so where are we? They want only to serve the Lord because the Lord is great, and as living entities, they are eternally subordinate parts and parcels of the Lord. This perfect realization of the self by the devotee helps him to become desireless, to desire nothing for his personal self. And thus the devotees are called nishkami, which means without any desire. These are the devotees of Lord Krishna. A living entity, by his constitutional position, cannot be void of all desires. The bhukti-kami, mukti-kami, and siddhi-kami all desire something for personal satisfaction. But the nishkami devotees of the Lord desire everything for the satisfaction of the Lord. They are completely dependent on the orders of the Lord and are always ready to discharge their duty for the satisfaction of the Lord. In the beginning, Arjun placed himself as one of those who desire self-satisfaction, for he desired not to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra. But to make him desireless, the Lord preached the Bhagavad Gita, in which the ways of karma yoga, jnana yoga, hatha yoga, and also bhakti yoga were explained. So Krishna covered all avenues of the yoga, and he preached to Arjun. Because in the beginning, Arjun was having this desire, for his self-satisfaction. He did not want to fight. So Krishna really preached to him and got rid of all the desires. So, continuing from there. Oh, by the way, when he was preaching the Bhagavad Gita, I just recently listened to a class from Bir Krishna Maharaj, my guru, and there was a question in there. The Bhagavad Gita, when it was preached to Arjun, there were two other people listening, right? So, who were the other two? Sanjaya and Dhritarashtra. So, in fact, there were three people who were being preached. And so, Sanjaya, Dhritarashtra, and they were listening via Doordarshan, I guess they'd call it vision, which is, there's a lot of Doordarshan people online right now. They're watching Mayapur TV or they are on ISKCON Sydney YouTube. Anyway, they were doing something similar that the rest of us are doing out there online. But the question was that the effect on Arjun was different from Dhritarashtra. I mean, if Dhritarashtra had really nicely listened to the Bhagavad Gita, would there be a battle? Because the essence of Bhagavad Gita is such that it can change a person's life and may turn them into desireless devotees and only to please Krishna. So Dhritarashtra, why didn't he? That was the question. I mean, didn't he change after listening to the Bhagavad Gita? And the answer was that it was his attachment to Duryodhan that overrode everything else, even Lord Krishna's preaching. That's how much he loved Duryodhan. He was in fact told that Duryodhan will be the reason of the destruction of the whole dynasty. So Dhritarashtra actually knew this when at the time that Duryodhan was born. All the sages and acharyas had told Dhritarashtra that this child who is braying like an ass, a donkey, they did his astrological charts and said he's going to be the destruction of the dynasty. He's going to finish up all the Kurus. So it's better you give this child away, renounce or reject this child. But Dhritarashtra was so already attached to his firstborn son that he was willing to put up with anything. And even after the preaching of the Bhagavad Gita, his mind and his heart didn't change. And it was the effect of attachment. And that is what this Srimad Bhagavatam over here is preaching us to. We need to be desireless, and we must only focus on the self-satisfaction of Lord Krishna, not our own desires. So that was the mistake that Dhritarashtra had made. And Arjun obviously didn't make that mistake, because in the end he said, yes, I will fight. And that's what this next sentence is telling us. Because Arjun was without any pretension, he changed his decision and satisfied the Lord by agreeing to fight. So he agreed to fight. Dhritarashtra should have listened to this preaching also, but he didn't. So Dhritarashtra was pretentious. So agreed to fight, karishye vachanam tava, and thus he became desireless. The examples of Brahma and Lord Shiva are specifically cited here because Brahmaji, Lord Shiva, Srimati Lakshmiji, and the four Kumars, Tanaka, Sanatan, etc., are leaders of the four desireless Vaishnava Sampradayas. So there are four Sampradayas, and we are one of them. We come from Lord Brahma, and we are supposed to be desireless Sampradaya. So we've done the right thing. We're going in the right direction. They are all freed from all pretensions. Srila Jiva Goswami interprets the word Gata Vyalikai as Projita Kaitavai, or those who are free from all pretensions. These are the unalloyed devotees only. In the Chaitanya Charimrita Madhya 19.149, it is said, Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ata Eva Santa, Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami, Shakali Asanta. That means those who are after fruitive results for their pious activities, those who desire salvation and identity with the Supreme, and those who desire material perfections of mystic power are all restless because they want something for themselves. But the devotee is completely peaceful because he has no demand for himself, and he is always ready to serve the desire of the Lord. So the conclusion is, therefore, that the Lord is for everyone, because no one can achieve the result of his respective desires without his sanction. But as stated by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita 8.9, all such results are awarded by him only. For the Lord is Adishvara, the original controller of everyone. Namely, the Vedantists, the great Karma Kandyas, the great religious leaders, the great performers of austerity, and all those who are striving for spiritual advancement. But ultimately, he is realized by the pretensionless devotees only. Therefore, special stress is given to the devotional service of the Lord by Srila Sukadev Goswami. So, Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Ita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, let me grab my नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते वीर कृष्ण गोस्वामिनीति नाम्ने नमो हंसा निकाशया प्रभुपदा प्रियायते सुटिद्ध शुद्धि निष्ठभयं तस्य वाक्यानुवादिने. Okay, so this chapter here is called the process of creation, and this particular shlok is part of the beautiful prayers of Sukadev Goswami. He is requesting the Lord, the personality of Godhead, for his blessings and empowerment, so that he may answer this question of Parikshit Maharaj. And when we look at his prayers, when we read his prayers, it is almost, there many parts of his prayers are similar to the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is explaining to Arjun, he is this or he is that. I can actually read that part, I've written it down. In any case, and the similarity of these prayers that Sukadev Goswami makes is also very similar to Lord Brahma when he recites the Brahma Samhita. So you can actually see quite how it overlaps. The Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Samhita, and the prayers of Sukadev Goswami, they're quite similar, and they are all very beautiful. So just to compare, I take you to the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, in text 17, Arjuna asks Lord Krishna, he asks, how shall I think of you? How shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered? So here, when Sukadev Goswami is reciting in the Srimad Bhagavatam in this shlok, he is also addressing particular forms of Lord Krishna, where he is addressed by Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, or he is a super soul, the Atma, that we just read in the translation. So Arjun is also asking Krishna, he says, what forms are you to be remembered, O Supreme Personality of Godhead? And the only reason he asks is because Lord Krishna is always covered by Yog Maya. So not everybody can actually see him or perceive him. They don't know much about him, actually, if he's covered by Yog Maya. And I remember in a class ages ago when I listened to a class from Tamal Krishna Maharaj, his words were, even with 20/20 vision, you can't see Lord Krishna, because Lord Krishna is not so cheap. So these are his words, which I remember very nicely. With 20/20 vision, 20/20 vision, perfect vision. Lord Krishna is not so cheap, you can't see him. So you need to have something special to see Lord Krishna, which is in the Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hideshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami, which means that your eyes should be anointed with the love of Krishna. So you need to be in love with Krishna in order to see him. And this is what this purport that we were reading, the Nishkamis, the devotees, unalloyed devotees, they have a desire only to serve Krishna because they love Krishna so much. And that's the only way you can actually see him. And Lord Krishna actually says, I've written it here, but there's some pages going back. Let me see if I can find it. These are exact Lord Krishna's words. Lord Krishna, in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11.14.20, says, nothing else attracts him more than pure devotional service, and he becomes purchased by pure devotional service. He says, my dear Uddhava, devotional service unto me is just like a blazing fire which can burn into ashes, unlimited fuel applied to it. In other words, he prefers those with unalloyed devotion who have this devotional service attitude. And that's only the way you can see him. So here Arjun is asking, so if Arjun is, we all know he's an unalloyed devotee. And he can see Krishna anytime. I mean, he's right there in front of Krishna. So why did he ask this question? He actually was doing his duty as a preacher to souls like us, because we can't see Krishna. So he really asked this question that how can we see you? Please tell us about yourself and your forms for devotees like us, because we don't have that vision. We don't have our eyes anointed with love yet. We don't have, there's so many of us, we don't even have the love of Krishna manifested yet to happen. So then Krishna says, he responds, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Hanta te katha yishyami divya hi atma vibhutaya. Pradhan yatha kuru shrestha nasti anto vitarasya me. Now, this is continuing from the chapter 10, 17, so I'm thinking this one would be maybe 10, 19. So, to translate that, the Supreme Personality and Godhead said, yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only those which are prominent, O Arjun, for my opulence is limitless. So in this chapter 10 actually happens to be my favorite. Everybody has a favorite chapter in the Bhagavad Gita that they like. Mine happens to be chapter 10, because Krishna reveals his opulences, those are that prominent, but it actually glorifies the greatness of Krishna. And that's really interests me personally, about how great he is and what he is and who he is. I should really be worried about perfecting my sadhana, but I prefer listening about, in this, I think in the Bhagavad Gita is the one place where we listen and know about Lord Krishna himself. He describes himself. This is what I am, this is who I am. So, he knows, Lord Krishna knows that living entities do not understand the full extent of his opulences. So here, he's responding to Arjun with just the prominent ones, that our small brains, our tiny brains will be able to fathom, will be able to understand. So, this is 10:20, Bhagavad Gita 10:20, he says, Aham Atma Gurakesha Sarva Bhuta Shaya Stita Aham Madischa Madhyam Cha Bhutanam Antat Evacha. I am the super soul, O Arjun, seated in the heart of all living entities. And this is what Sukadev Goswami just said in his translation in this slok. I've closed it. In any case, the first line, Atmatma, Matvatam, he is also saying that, dear Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are the super soul. And here, Lord Krishna actually confirms it. He says, I am the super soul, O Arjuna, seated in the heart of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. So here, Lord Krishna informs Arjun that he is the soul of the entire cosmic manifestation, not just people living, but everything. Everything. He's the soul, super soul of everything, entire cosmic manifestation. And he's referring to the process of material creation also. When Mahavishnu enters into the manifested universes, so there's a Mahavishnu in every universe. There are many, 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 many universes. And then he again manifests himself after that into super soul into each and every living entity. So he is saying that he is the super soul for the entire cosmic manifestation. And this kind of relates to this particular chapter of the canto. It's about the creation process anyway. So, and then Sukadev Goswami refers to the Lord as the personification of Vedas. In this same shlok, he says, you are the personification of Vedas, spiritual scriptures, religious scriptures, and austerities. And then Lord Krishna also reinforces that. He says it himself in the same Bhagavad Gita. So, like I said in the beginning of the class, Sukadev Goswami's prayers very much reflect what Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita chapter 10. And here he says, Vedanam Sama Vedosmi, Devanam Asmi Vasavaha, Indriyanam Manas Chasmi, Bhutanam Ashmi Chetanaha. So he says, of the Vedas, I am Samveda. And Demigods, I'm Indra, of senses, I'm the mind, of living beings, I'm the living force, the consciousness. But he actually reiterates what Sukadev Goswami is saying anyway. So these prayers are very, very nice and very deep, and it very much resonates with what Lord Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita. And in the Brahma Samhita also, Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma says this particular verse, Dharmotha papa nichaya shrutayas tapamsmi brahmadi kita patagava jayasta jiva yaddata matra vibhava prakata prabhava govindamadi purusham tamam bhajami. So Lord Brahma says, I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, by whose conferred power are maintained the manifested potencies that are found to exist of all virtues, all vices, the Vedas, the penances, the austerities, and all jivas, from Brahma to the meanest insect. So same thing. Even Lord Brahma and Shukadev Goswami's prayers are quite similar. Sukadev Goswami is saying, you are Vedas, you are austerities. Lord Brahma here is also saying, you are Vedas, you are penances, you are austerities. Same thing. So prayers are very, very nice, very wonderful. Sukadev Goswami's prayers. And then the next point Sukadev Goswami says is, you are worshipped by Lords Brahma and Shiva. So he's in fact glorifying Krishna. Yes, Lord Brahma worships you, Lord Shiva worships you. And we've just mentioned the Brahma Samhita, in which Lord Brahma, he actually glorifies Lord Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead. And so the Brahma Samhita actually says it all. In awe and reverence, he is just worshipping Lord Govinda, Lord Krishna. And so it's really beautiful. Then I wanted to talk a little bit about Lord Shiva also. In the Bhagavad Gita purport of 7:14, Lord Shiva says, Mukti pradata sarvesham Vishnu evana samshayaha. So this is still in the Bhagavad Gita, because I was flipping through the Bhagavad Gita trying to match the prayers of Sukadeva Goswami. And this bit about Lord Shiva was in the text purport of 7.414. And he said, in fact, the Lord is worshipped by demigods as Brahma and Shiva. Oh, sorry, the actual Mukti Pradata Sarvesham Vishnu Revana Samshaya, it means there is no doubt that Vishnu is the deliverer of liberation for everyone. So he is actually stating in that that Lord Vishnu, who is Lord Krishna, is basically the supreme Lord of, the supreme personality of Godhead. He's the supreme Lord, and he's the only one who can give us liberation. So he's above all, above himself, worshipable. So, and then the Bhagavad Gita 4.12 also, the purport says, in fact, the Lord is worshipped by demigods such as Brahma and Shiva. And that's in Shiva Virinchi Nutam. So quite a bit of similarities that we find. And then in the purport of this particular verse here, it is mentioned that they are those who are on the path of self-realization, who are generally referred to as karmis. Karmis are those people who are following normally karma kanda. Sorry, I should have brought some water today. So it's fine, it's okay. We've only got about 15 minutes, so that's all right. So karma kanda, the karmis, they are more interested in fruitive activities, and they want the result of that. And so in the Vedas, there are certain actually directions given that you can follow and perform all these fruitive activities so that you can get that result So the Vedas, like, I'm not quite sure which one of the four, Sam, Yajur, Atva, whichever one, it does have a section, quite a few sections for the karmis to practice karma kanda and then get a result. Basically, they desire material enjoyment. And that actually means that they want to probably they want to go to the Swargloks, and they want to enjoy the senses there. And so they do good stuff, but it has got a ultimate, self goal, for a self-realize. It's not to please Krishna, but themselves. And they do make it to the heavenly planets by following those, like, if, for example, giving charities in such a way that, you get a fruitive result. Or you do certain austerities, or you worship certain demigods in a certain way, and then these demigods will bless you, and then you go to the heavenly abode, rather than liberation. So that's karma kand. And the jnanis, they want the mukti, which is liberation. And this is very interesting, because in our Krishna consciousness, we are taught that you worship Krishna, you'll be liberated. You'll go back to Godhead. But here, we've got the jnanis, who is mukti kami, which means they desire liberation from material existence, and they are classified as those with desires. They are not desireless. So that means that devotees, unalloyed, pure devotees, they don't even desire liberation. They don't desire liberation. So, and once you become unalloyed devotee, this is kind of a bit complex, or maybe it's a bit ironical, that these unalloyed devotees who do not desire liberated are the actual ones who do get liberated. They just want to please Krishna, they don't want liberation, but at the end of their lives, Krishna pulls them back to Godhead. To satisfy Lord Krishna's senses, to satisfy Lord Krishna, he pulls them back to Godhead. So this was pointed out to us in a class by our spiritual master, actually at Arvindini Mataji's house, when he came in one of his visits, and he was speaking to everybody. And he said, he pointed this out to everyone. He said, one of the actual factors is that you have got to not desire to go back to Godhead. Like naturally. You just got to desire to please Krishna wherever you are. Not particularly, at Lord Krishna's abode. That's one of the requirements. So you've got to not want to go back to Godhead in order to go back to Godhead. That's a desireless state. So here the jnanis are which is studying of the Vedic scriptures, religious, they go for knowledge. They learn the control of the mind and the senses. That's the jnanis, who read the Bhagavad Gita and, get scriptures, information out of that, who are practicing some kind of yoga in order to get liberated. But at the end of the day, it's the pure devotees who get liberated. So we've got to strive not to want liberation, but we've got to strive to serve Krishna. And the only way we can serve Krishna is by, first of all, loving Krishna, and then obviously take shelter of a spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master. Without the blessings of a bona fide spiritual master, like Srila Prabhupada or our spiritual masters, there's no way that we can get that devotional service. And that Bhakti Lata Beach, that love of Krishna also comes from another devotee. So association is so very important. Otherwise, it's not possible. And obviously, there are different stages of love to Krishna. You cry, you roll about in the ground, you cry in separation. All these things are there. You've got to be able to achieve a certain love for Krishna. So how we get that, just over the top of my head, I have not researched it, but from what I know, that just comes to my mind right now, as we are, is pray to Srimati Radharani. Because she is ultimately the boss who loves Krishna the most, that we can learn something from her and get a little bit of blessing and mercy from Srimati Radharani, how to love Krishna. In whichever ras, whether it's as a friend or as a servant, or as a son, as a father, as a lover, anywhere. Srimati Radharani has the blessings. So we need to be able to please Srimati Radharani. And another flip side of that is that we have to make sure that we do not offend Srimati Radharani's servants or friends. In other words, Vaishnava Aparadha. We got to stay away from that. It's very important, because when we commit a Vaishnava Aparadha, then we don't get the mercy of the love of Krishna. And all our austerities, all our pujas, and our everything is basically nil. It's, all the hard work that we do is simply nullified just by Vaishnava Aparadha. So Vaishnava Aparadha or Vaishnavi Aparadha, because Vaishnavis are also devotees of the Lord, and they kind of forget to say that. But Vaishnavi Aparadha, Vaishnava Aparadha, one and the same. And it's very important. So we've got to be very careful. The third one, the yogi that Sukadev Goswami mentions are the ones that, in the purport anyway, the yogi is the Siddhi Kami. There are 8 kinds of material perfections. And they desire to have those material perfections. And in any case, there's also Hatha Yoga is described there also. Hatha Yoga is the path of application of physical techniques, which is, you all know that, you go through Hatha Yoga. The reason they do that is they can control their physical side of things. It's basically the control. And you apply it to some sort of, the control is some side, you don't use it for negative things. You use it for purification, I guess the word I'm looking for. You use it for purification. And that actually kind of assists in bhakti. But it is not total bhakti. The ultimate yoga, obviously, that we need to practice is bhakti yoga. Not Hatha Yoga, and not Karma Yoga, or not Jnana Yoga. When we do Bhakti Yoga, which is devotional service, it kind of surpasses or transcends all the rest of the yogas. It covers all of them, basically. When we practice Bhakti Yoga, our senses are controlled. Our mind is controlled. Our physical activities are controlled. When you become a devotee, we have the 4 regulative principles. Automatically, you're practicing everything. Even the Hatha Yoga bit, the physical side of it, we jump and dance. We dance. It's like aerobics, not really, but we have spiritual aerobics, you could say. We still, practice quite a lot. We are purified. Our chanting is purified. So the ultimate conclusion, the benefit that we get, the conclusion is that we have to practice Bhakti Yoga. Not Siddhi Yoga where we want, some kind of Siddhi, not Hatha Yoga, not Jnana Yoga, not Karma Yoga, but Bhakti Yoga. In order to do that, we have to join the 4 sampradayas, one of the 4 sampradayas, which we have joined the Brahma Sampradaya. So not those satsanga people who cook the goat meat. They have desires. Basically join a desireless sampradaya, which is us, basically. And this is also the prescribed process that Sukadev Goswami recommends, but also it's given to us by Srila Prabhupada and explained quite well. We have to have the 9 processes of bhakti. Mainly for us, there was a question, there's 9 processes. Do we have to do all 9? And the answer is no. You can actually be liberated. You can go back to Godhead just by practicing one, just by listening, or just by hearing or chanting. You can. I'll just quickly see if I can find out my notes. I have written quite a bit over the previous classes. so that I get it right. The 9 ways to perform the bhakti devotional service obviously is hearing about Lord Krishna. Kirtanam is glorifying Lord Krishna, that is chanting. Kirtan is also chanting, it's also Harinam, which is what Sukadev Goswami is doing right now. So Sukadev Goswami is practicing Kirtanam, remembering Lord Krishna like Prahlad Maharaj. Pada Sevanam is serving the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, which is Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. Or worshipping Lord Krishna in the temple or deity worship, it's called Archanam, which is the acharya for that is Maharaj Prithu. Or Vadanam, which is praying to Lord Krishna, like Akrur. That's a very nice one. Akrur is very humbly praying to Lord Krishna. It's very nicely related in the Krishna book. Number 7 is becoming the servant of Lord Krishna, Dasyam. It's like Hanuman. Or 8, becoming a dear friend to Lord Krishna, Sakhyam, which is Arjun, whom we were discussing just now in the Bhagavad Gita. And the 9th process is Atmanivedanam, means fully surrendering unto Lord Krishna, like Bali Maharaj. So practicing the 9, and what applies to us the most is the hearing and chanting. The hearing and chanting. We hear about Lord Krishna's katha and we chant his holy names. And that's all that's required to purify us, to give us that qualification to accept a shelter from a spiritual master who will then instruct us on devotional service, from whom we get the Bhakti Lata Beej, from whom we get the love of Krishna, so that we become desireless. And then we can, basically beat all the rest of the yogas and just go into Bhakti Yoga. So that concludes our class for today. Are there any questions? Yes. Well, the condition of those, let me repeat that question. The question that Prabhu has asked is, Bhakti Yoga is prescribed now for this Yuga. Why isn't it prescribed in the Satyug and Treta and Dwapar? Well, the dharma or the love for Godhead wasn't so fallen at that time. Basically, the Satyug people were already liberated souls. They were already doing all the right things. And it's slightly, then I think Treta and then Dwapar, they were doing yagnas. And, and that's how they got purified. Because they had the other aspects of dharma, and it was all alive and well. They're practicing everything. They were not so degraded. But for Kali Yuga, actually, it's prescribed Bhakti Yoga, but chanting and Harinam. Because we are just so degraded and our consciousness is very impure. We've been around for all these ages and ages. And nothing else. There are no qualifications. We are not qualified for anything else. It also did that age, the qualifications. The kind of pure souls that were there in Satyuga are obviously, they're already liberated. They don't need, but in saying that, we also have to understand that they already have that bhakti. They already have the bhakti and the love for Krishna already. They'd have, certainly in Dwapar, when Krishna was there, they automatically were devoted to Krishna. And that's why they descended. They already had that. But we have to learn. We have to start from scratch, basically. And that's why it's really important to chant. Because Krishna promised us that he will, in Kali Yuga, he'll be present in his names. The reason we just discussed a little while ago, what Tamal Krishna Maharaj had said, he said with even 20/20 vision, we can't see God. It just can't. We don't have the qualifications to see him. We don't have the qualifications. So then Lord Krishna, being so kind, he said, I'll be present in my names. And we know that his names are so powerful. When he, like as Lord Ram, they wrote on the stones and the stones floated, and they made the bridge all the way from India to Sri Lanka. Ravan's abode. So that's the power of the name. Lord Krishna is present in his names. As soon as we say Krishna, the vibrations, the sound, he's present in it. He promised. It's very hard to get around, how can God be present in sound when we say it? But that's what he promised. He also promised in Kali Yuga that he'll be present in the deity form. So because our eyes can see the deity, but our eyes cannot see Krishna as he is, like Arjuna had seen. So for fallen, contaminated souls like us, we have to practice that bhakti yoga and chanting and listen to the sound and vibration, Lord Krishna's names. Okay, so any other questions? Okay. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Puran ki Jai.